Hey, how's it going? So here I am at the statue of Amphitrite. Amphitrite obviously is the wife of Poseidon. Poseidon we can see on the corner over there, and you would have seen Poseidon in many other videos. However, the reason you are here today is to try and establish how easy it is to get from the center of Lviv to Lviv train station and take yourself off around the beautiful country of Ukraine. Let's see how easy it is to navigate from the center to Lviv train station in as cheaply a way as possible. Almost like Odysseus did in the Odyssey, which he features in very briefly. We're going to go on an Odyssey ourselves. Now, because the center of Lviv is all pedestrian, cobbled streets, no polluting cars here, you might see the odd moped, but what that means is you cannot get a bus or a taxi from the center. You have to leave the beautiful cobbled streets of Lviv and you have to head, well, in any direction really. You eventually come across roads, but we are going to head towards the place where you can get a bus to head towards any road, and we can get a bus to the station. And the same applies to if you want to go to the airports. The best way to get to the airport is look for the bus on Google Maps and it will get you there. This is how to do that. It is from this major ring road where most people will get their taxis, their buses as well. Obviously this video is not about just jumping in an Uber. However, if you want to jump in Uber, a Bolt or an Uklon, the code is in the description below. It will give you money off your first journey. First few journeys on most of those apps. I'd be surprised if none of you have used Uber before, but some of you may not have used Uklon or Bolt because they are very specific to Ukraine and often cheaper than Uber in Ukraine. What I do advise you while I'm here, all very well having your photo taken with the horses, don't ride these horses. These horses are having to wait out during the summer months in intense heat. During the winter months they have to wait out in intense cold. It can get to minus 20 in Lviv and sometimes colder. As beautiful as these carriages look, this is for dumb, stupid tourists who have no compassion for the welfare of animals. I urge you not to give money to these guys. The same goes in New York, London, Paris, any city in the world. Horses shouldn't be walking on cobbled streets like this for hours upon end. The nice thing about heading to the airport or the train station via public transport obviously requires a little bit of a walk, but on that walk you can take in magnificent statues like George tackling a serpent as opposed to a dragon. Interesting connotation, but I believe this is George tackling a serpent. Tell me if it's not. Tell me if it's someone else, but it's seriously very beautiful. I think it's because it's such a beautiful day. I've been completely distracted. I figured, why am I taking a bus or a tram? By the way, you can do that very easy. 10 hryvnias, bus or tram. But instead I can just simply walk to the train station and I can see magnificent monuments that have since sprung up since my first time I ever visited Lviv, which was way before 2018. I didn't see this before. This is a Western Ukrainian national monument. It says at the bottom, "Glory to Ukraine." And what a glorious monument. Really, really glorious. It's right next to Taras Shevchenko Park over here. Really, really beautiful. And you can see why on such a beautiful day, if you've got a little bit of time on your hands, from the center to the bus station, it's going to take you probably 30 minutes or so. Yeah, so my video hasn't quite panned out right, but why not? Let's just check out a few of the random things we see along the way. It's wonderful. One of the slight disadvantages of not getting the bus or the tram, there's a bit of a hill to the train station, and when you've got two bags on you, you feel the sort of the exercise, a little bit like that babushka back there. She's had to stop. But when it's blue skies, 16 degrees, and you're surrounded by Ukrainian people that always seem to give you a quick nod, not always a nod of disapproval, but a nod. Just, hey, how's it going? It's a nice way to spend the 30 minutes of your day. Well, once again, thank you very much for joining me in another one of my videos. I am Alex and I am the Wandering Englishman. If you haven't clicked that subscribe button already, it doesn't cost you anything. Do give it a click and it might even help this channel grow. Also, YouTube have removed the dislike function. If you can click the like button, it may help this video get seen by a few more than a few hundred people, and that really will help this channel out. Also, if you're enjoying this content, leave a comment below. It's always great to hear from you. Always good to hear from old subscribers and new subscribers. Right behind me is St. George's Cathedral. It's actually a Roman Catholic church, but interestingly enough, we have a statue of Andriy the Metropolitan. Also goes by the Roman name Alexander, so he shares my name, Alexander. He came from aristocratic background. He was born just outside Lviv in some small little village. He went to university to study law or Krakow, but he's considered probably the most influential religious figure in Ukraine in the 20th century. He was the leader of the Greek Orthodox Church in Ukraine from I think 1901 until he died I think in the 50s. So he basically saw both world wars, considerable, managed to survive them, especially given the fact that the Soviets outlawed religion. He managed to survive. He's celebrated with this statue that was erected in 2015. What beautiful surroundings, and it just proves once again why get a bus or a taxi to the train station when you can take this beautiful walk in. So far the walk has been monumental, and I actually regret not having taken this walk before. Normally I'm in a rush to get to the train station. Today not so. It's so hot, hats come off, but also out of respect for the church. In Ukrainian culture, you always take the hat off when you're in religious buildings. Walk in, take the hat off, that's what they always do. Strangely enough, the women always wear a veil over their heads when they enter a religious institution. But onwards, we're going to continue down this way, and I think we're in for a treat. I've just looked on the map and there's another statue of real significance literally between here and the train station, so that's what we're going to go see. There was one of the electric buses you could be getting if you wanted to be a little bit lazy, or if it was maybe raining and not such a beautiful day. I've now produced dozens and dozens of videos on Ukraine, so if you're curious about Lviv, check out the Lviv playlist, but if you're curious about all of Ukraine, do check out my Ukraine playlist, which you can find on my channel. I've separated different adventures into different playlists, so if you have the time or the inclination, do not hesitate to check that out. Honestly, who needs a bus or a taxi when in fact you have so much beauty en route, which slightly worryingly I didn't realize, or maybe because every time I've needed to get to the station it's always been a bit rainy or drizzly. And then here, right behind me, Stepan Bandera. Now if you remember from my video from Ternopil, I give more of an insight into this man. He's the nationalist, the real polarizing, controversial figure, loved by people in Western Ukraine, not so much loved by people in Eastern Ukraine, and certainly not loved by certain people outside of Ukraine. However, when it comes to having impressive statues and impressive squares, loved by the skateboarding community, there's always skateboarders around here, we have Stepan Bandera. And over there we have a Catholic cathedral, a Catholic church, right behind these skateboarders and guys on scooters. Beautiful, beautiful Catholic church. And the reason there are so many Catholic churches in Lviv, obviously Lviv used to be a Polish city, and obviously the main religion in Poland is the Catholic religion. So when there were lots of Poles here, the religion they worshipped was, well, the church they worshipped was the Catholic Church, and there is a fine Catholic church. And if we head just past there, we're going to get to the train station. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a coffee at this beautiful little place over here. Another Lviv croissants, the famous Lviv croissants. Some people really like them, some people really dislike them, but the coffee's okay. Not the best, but it's okay. But what a magnificent place. Kids playing, skateboarders. It looks like they're doing some resurfacing work over here, so it's going to be even more pretty soon. This certainly beats public transport. Despite the sort of prosperity that's going on in the center of Lviv, we also have to be aware, this is one of the reasons that you should always get out and walk places, that there is poverty in Lviv, because despite the fact that babushkas are selling wares, they're entrepreneurs, I don't think a babushka would like to have a retirement selling cheeses and milks and vegetables from her vegetable garden. The reason they have to is because the pensions were screwed over in the 2014 crisis. People's pensions aren't what they are. Things are improving. The young are certainly doing very well in Ukraine, but the people that have been left behind in Ukraine are the elderly. And if the elderly don't have a wealthy, young or middle-aged individual looking after them, they're struggling, and their pension really isn't providing enough of an income. Hence the reason you will see, you know, the men selling their oranges, and you know, the ladies just selling flowers and what you name it. If you are tempted to buy fruit, that's the place to get it. In fairness, I think it was probably fate, or certainly the weather, that just made me decide to walk to the train station, which is just there. The reason being, last time I was here, only a few weeks ago, I got the tram, and the tram would have come down here, but today it would have been impossible. They're doing some beautiful sort of renovating work. New stones are coming in. They're making the whole street look much nicer, but obviously, for the moment, fate was on my side and caused me to elect not to walk rather than get a tram that was clearly unavailable. The buses are all having to take a detour. So in a way, it was a great thing to walk. I avoided the congestion. And we've just literally got to the road where the train station is. Having been to the train station many times, my advice would be, don't waste your time trying to get food inside the train station. Make sure you get some food in the restaurants that are just along the road heading to the train station. In this place I'm getting vareniki and a beer for 41 hryvnias. That's about £1.20. Considerable difference compared to what you'll pay on the train or in the centre of town. And there we have it. We've reached Lviv train station. No need to buy a bus ticket or a tram ticket or get an Uber or a taxi. We got there. Actually, really wonderful walk. I got my vareniki, I got my beer. Yes, I probably wouldn't have spent that if I'd got a taxi, but I needed to eat anyway, and it was a good place to eat. And now I find myself here at Lviv station. I'm not going to bore you with the intricacies of Lviv station. If you want to buy a train ticket to any destination, I recommend this app. and the app is called Plodzy or something along those lines. This is the app. There's a link in the description. If you use that, it will allow you to download the app, or you can use the website, buy your tickets. Don't waste your time with the ticket booths because it's far easier. Thankfully, in the last couple of years, Ukraine has pretty much moved digital with their tickets. A few years ago, you had to get the paper tickets. You had to queue up with your best Ukrainian or Russian, talk to the babushkas. But now you get to show the QR code on your phone and onwards. Anyway, if you like this content, you can check me out in all my videos. There's over 350 videos on this channel. Hopefully I get you watching at least one of them. Maybe join me on my next journey. On my next journey, I'm heading to Kamenetsky, a place I've never been before, so I'm probably brutalizing that. Find out if I get to learn how to pronounce that for real. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Keep progressing.